Oh. Opportunities to be released. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, prisoner exchange, I imagine.
Yeah, but we talked about that. Well, I guess they are a possibility. It would make sense.
Like, I mean, you probably wouldn't exchange for a soldier, but if they had like a noble or an aristocrat,
yeah,
your family might be willing to exchange or pay, considering what we're at in resources. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Legend of the Galactic Heroes Gaiden 1999 version, which is the Season 2 version of Gaiden, where we are halfway through the Spiral Labyrinth. We have no comments, so how about you go ahead and remind us of what happened last time?
Last time there was a state... Very interesting. There was a state funeral for Rosas in his home. And we were told basically everybody was showing there because, of course, he's a great hero. There's a conversation between Wei-Ling and Rosa's granddaughter, which could be interpreted multiple ways. We have interpretation that she was behind the not-so-accidental death of Rosas, and she might be the one sending the letters. Motivation being that she wants the real story to be told, especially that Ashley was not as the hero that he portrayed himself. That other people, helped him, especially his grandfather, who was sort of this adjutant, man behind the scenes kind of situation.
Well, while we're here, I'm going to say I'm no longer behind that theory.
I said at the time, think about that. Let me just make sure that, yeah. And after that conversation, he also has a conversation in a restaurant with a cadet and his boss, and they're like, okay, because he's having doubts whether he actually finds information that was in fact a murder and not an accident or a loss in combat, as was shown in the previous episode before this one. That would be episode 5.
6.
Then 6. That was episode. Okay. Then that means that his reputation, and by extension, the reputation of all the members of the 730 Mafia, would be ruined, right? Although we'd later on see what happens to them in their lives. Some of them had his storied careers. Others, those who survived the battle, ended up in scandal, right? So there was mixed results, but essentially the 730 Mafia fell apart without Ashley. So even if he took credit for other people's work, ultimately it was his charisma and leadership that kept them all together. Although already, as we saw in that other episode, it was straining under the pressure of continuing to deliver victories for the Alliance. With the last one to die, of course, was Rosas, who was the police that closed the case, that it might or might not have been, foul play, but they basically made it that he was an accident, that he overdosed on sleeping pills. After that, Wei-Ling gets basically reassigned to another planet to be the adjutant, the second in command, or even I think second or third, I believe it is, to someone running a Federation POW camp. And we had a long discussion of, what's the nature of POWs in a war where one side is declared to be a renegade, blah, blah, blah. And essentially, Wei-Ling is being shuffled off before he can finish the investigation, which investigation was simply, we have to remember, everybody watching, that this was for the investigation so he would have a recommendation on whether or not there should be a formal inquiry into it. But now thinking about it, even a formal inquiry, public one, would be enough to, again, put some shade in already the situation that is, which is already complicated. And Wei-Ling is like, well, again, he was thinking that even if he found out there was some foul play, he wasn't going to ruin the reputation of the people involved that he looked up towards. But then he's debating what is his duty to history, to tell the truth or to let history be as is, right? So that's the episode.
Yeah, there's a lot at play. I specifically have notes about a bunch of crap. The first thing that comes to my mind is actually, well, you know what? Let's bring up the board first so you can see how I've ruined it. There's the link for you. I didn't want you to be unsurprised by the horrible job that I've done. We're like 6 episodes into a show and I've made something almost as tall as the Macross thing. We don't even have that many characters. Yeah, well, like I told you last time, we were reaching the point where I had these tiers and the tiers were already getting full. It's like, oh, I better future-proof this thing as much as possible.
Yeah, it looks like this is like it looks like the Empire State Building of tiers, of character tiers.
Yeah, the more important you are, the closer the terrace you are. Not the terrace. I can't think of words today.
Penthouse?
Yeah, the penthouse. But yeah, this is basically everyone we got so far. Apparently Warwick is the only one that got into a political position before he died. Everybody else has got, post-mortem promotions to Fleet Admiral. And then, of course, everybody else we know. Sithole Lynch from, the hero of Alpha Seal. Andrew Bocock, who we saw as a petty officer, but last episode we saw is now like 62 years old and a Commodore. Let's see. Alex Kazern, who is a commander. Our 2 lieutenant commanders, one guy from the flashback, Heath, who witnessed, I was going to say Brisby. What's his name again? My brain is starting to ooze out of my ears. Ashby.
Ashby, yeah.
See, you didn't even have it off the top of your tongue either. Heath, who witnessed Ashby's death. Goodwin, the PR guy, who's also a lieutenant. Let me scroll off to the side so people can actually see the ranks going down. And then we have the unknown people. Actually, Dusty Attenborough is a known. He's a cadet, but I didn't have a cadet space, so I just kind of... I guess technically Malcolm should have probably graduated already too, but we don't know what he is. Frederica Greenhill, I guess we only put her as unknown because the image spoils her. We don't know where she is. And Jean Robert Lapp, who has shown up, but I guess... And now it's a blurry image. I was saying if we could kind of zoom in here on the bars, we could probably figure it out. And then we have the civilians. Don't know what Arl Heinessen might have been, but he's down here in the civilian area. Technically, Adeline, is divorced, so I don't know if I should connect her to Ashby up there. Miriam is connected. Yang is connected to Yang. Of course, Grobner, the guy who congratulated him on the promotion. Jessica Edwards. Her name doesn't get dropped in the episode that we literally say, who is that? So, obviously, in a romantic relationship, and also a friend of Yang's, and Job Shunhit, who is in last episode as well. And then down over here on the Empire side, all the way up, we got a couple of dead vice admirals. The Muckenbergers not having a good time with it. Kelt survived, even though his ship was hit. He gets pinned under some stuff, and it says he gets knocked out for a couple of hours or something like that.
Yeah, but he got rescued.
Right during the conversation where his advisors are telling him he should evacuate. 2 dead admirals. So, not important anymore.
Harvey Cosell.
Hauser, our High Admiral, still about. Well, I mean, technically survived. We already finished the battle. We know that anybody who's alive still is at least alive until we find out what happened to them in the future.
Yeah.
Because the fleet's already retreated. Zeiton, the fleet admiral, apparently survived it too. Kettering, the uncle of Muckenberger, who died before anything.
Yep.
And we also have like the difference of ranks. The Empire has the rank of High Admiral, where the Free Planets Alliance doesn't have that. They go from Fleet Admiral to Admiral. The Empire goes Fleet Admiral, High Admiral, Admiral. But yeah, that is the changes of the board, so expect this fun Tower of Times to come back. Or how horrible it's going to be to edit. You know, somebody changes a rank and now I've got to change all these lines going all over the place. I'm already going to have to change it because I don't like the way I just went straight up and down. I'm going to have to start doing like little sideways lines so I can fit people in between. Alright, well, Theta's thoughts it is then, unless you got something else you want to bring up about the board.
Not really. It just looks like it's going to be very jam-packed pretty soon.
Well, you know, it's a huge show with a lot of people. Gotta prep space for it. Alright, Theta's thoughts. When Gang goes to dance with Jessica in the flashbacks, it's because he won a coin flip with Jean. You can see Jean has like a coin on the back of his hand, does that whole motion. Mm-hmm. So even if they both had a thing for her, Yang shot his shot first, because he got lucky out of heads or tails. Then, of course, he constantly stepped on her toes because he can't dance.
Taking some lessons, perhaps.
It's hard to do that right before.
Yeah, but all that talk about his father, like art, and he never had him take a single dancing lesson.
Well, yeah, because he was about actual art, not culture.
Art is culture.
No. I mean, I'm not arguing art is culture. Culture isn't art, though. No, it's the thing that we've said before where, you know, your Valkyrie thing from the other day.
Uh-huh.
As something can be a Valkyrie, but not everything is a Valkyrie.
Okay.
Yeah. Art is under culture, but not all culture is art. Paintings aren't dancing, for example.
True.
Right.
But they're both art.
But paintings are culture.
And so is dancing.
Right.
And dancing is an art.
That's arguable. I mean, that's like everyone says cooking is an art, and some people say cooking is a science. But art isn't science. Look, this is an argument you created.
Continue.
On the board that announced that the war history program was being closed due to financial reasons, the rest of the board was filled with almost nonsense to me. Like, right about that students notice. Sorry, I did write this at literal 2 a.m. This is literal 2 a.m. notes. I know I keep using it as an excuse, but you do it sometime. That's what I'm saying. Right above that student notice is a message about a tragic accident. Sadly, Lilienthal was killed while flying one of his gliders. You mean Otto Lilienthal, German aviator who died in 1896 just after a glider crash? Another notice to all students just says that the invention of the airplane owes a great deal to the work of George Cayley, an English engineer, inventor, and aviator. I say it's nonsense because of how important to the students the main posting is compared to a bunch of random facts about Earth's history.
An Earth that we don't even know the kind of connection that either the Empire or the Federation has to it.
We have literally not heard the word Earth once yet.
Or humanity, for that matter.
Well, I'm not going to blame them for not using the word humanity because that seems like a real alien thing to do.
Well, you should, but this is the thing about sci-fi shows that they're like, oh no, this is war. War is, humanity's always been involved in war. That kind of concept, right?
Yeah,
Comes
but you
a
use
lot.
that in like exposition. You don't use that in like if I started telling you about human stuff, like that comes off as a real I've been, switched with a body snatcher.
Yeah, but this show has tons of exposition. People just talking to each other.
Yeah, but they're more specific. Humanity would be the et al, right? Instead of we're talking about the free planets do this, or the Empire does that, or this guy commanded these people to do that. It's not, hey, we're all like this because we're doing that wartime thing of separating us from them. I suppose it is interesting to note that according to Rosas, Ashby's constant victories affected no change in the overall war. That seems like an exceedingly noteworthy statement, given how peculiar that is. Kind of no wonder that one politician in episode 5 called out the biggest engagement in Alliance history to date just as a picnic for the 730 Mafia. Imagine if you kept shelling out more and more money and supplies to a group that, despite winning, achieved no real gains. Especially now, in hindsight, where we know programs are getting shut down in the future due to lack of funds. Feels like Ashby only existed to drain the military of resources.
Again, the problem with all that is we get hints about the scale of the conflict, but since, we never seen like a map of either one of the territories, right? Or anything like that, it's like, okay.
So
Only
it's funny to me you say that because I think I still somewhere in my downloads folder have a map of the of everything from DNT that I never even put on screen in DNT because I just forgot and then never did.
So, I mean, we had those kind of situations like, if you're talking about Battletech, you see the inner sphere, or in Star Trek, you see the alpha, beta quadrants, right? That, although those maps change all the time, at least in Star Trek, it kind of gives you a sense of, what are we talking about? We're talking about empires. The empires we were even in the Milky Way for that matter. We could be somewhere else in the universe. We don't know, right?
Well, I mean, obviously, this is a lessons rule for me. I could say, because I don't think it would mess with anything, but I kind of want the show to do that. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Commenters, let me know. Should I or shouldn't I? Because I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it's a lessons rule or not. It could just be you should already know that. Like, what if episode 1 of the show says it? It's like, well, then you should probably already know. And in which case, should I?
I mean, it is supposed to be a galactic war, right? It's a legend of galactic heroes, but again, that could mean
what does that mean when right now we're covering like the Galactic Heroes of 40 years ago? So it's like, all right. So yeah, I'm leaving that up to the commenters. If the commenters say something, I'll bring it back up and I'll just like, hey, here's how it is. Here's the stuff you should know, regardless of where we're watching chronologically. The fact that Ashby is the reason why the Empire was able to build a fortress at Iserlon first is something I want you to put a pin in your memory for.
Might be important later.
No, I'm just literally me saying it will be important later.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things I want you to remember. For 4 to 5 months later when we get to Iserlon or something, however long that takes, at the pace of 3 episodes a week. Kind of funny, but my old estimate on the number of people on an Alliance ship still holds up. I think I told you before that I had done math on a DNT episode and said I thought there was likely about 75 crew on an Alliance ship. Well, they list what is present for the second Battle of Tiamat. They say there are 48,000 ships and 3,636 crewmen. Sorry, 3,636,000 crewmen. Averaged out, that is about 75 crew per ship still. The fact that pans out across 2 versions of the show makes me think it has to be intentional attention to detail. I was only ever Bleh. Come on, tongue, work with the mouth. I was only ever able to do the math on the Alliance fleet before now, but we also know the Imperials sent 56,000 ships with 6,500,000 crew, meaning Imperial ships on average are manned by about 116 crew each.
Explains all the space that seems to be wasted, right? And again, we talked about how much is dedicated to weapons, how much things are automated, right, et cetera, et cetera. Although we don't see robots at least in the Alliance.
I mean, it could also be an element of how long the war's been going on versus losses. Yeah. Maybe there's all that extra space because it's meant to be crewed by people who just aren't there. We have more ships than people. And maybe the Empire is just not losing as badly. So they still have, they got almost like 40 more people per ship.
Yeah, but that seems to be a relatively low number of people.
Again, it depends on that whole automation argument, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what a skeleton crew is for this. If a skeleton crew is 70 people in the Alliance of 75 people per ship. Thinking that Ashby got murdered makes a lot more sense with the context that he gave a speech right before being deployed about possibly going into politics after the battle, with the rumor then spreading of a military government taking over. Feels like a lot of people would have a desire to not see that happen, even though everything we've seen still makes it look like Ashby died in battle. Even the narrator says that the politicians' worries were for naught, but being wrong never stops someone with power from getting someone else killed.
That's in this last episode, the discussion on the table was part and parcel of that, right? There's how long does the governments last? Eventually, things lead to chaos because of bad leadership, that sort of thing. Which I think it's kind of this is in the 1990s, but in many ways it might be sort of comment on the Cold War because, it was still very much fresh in people's mind that governments like the Soviet Union had collapsed within within the decade, right?
Well, many other governments. Is from late 90s, but the original show that all this spawns from is from the late 80s.
Yeah. So
before the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So the Alliance is fighting a protective war where victory might gain them little, but defeat would surely mean the loss of all they hold dear. I'm just air quoting the quotation marks here. That's not my wording. As opposed to the Imperials, who were only concerned with what victory might bring them and not with the thoughts of loss or defeat.
That remains to be seen. You never go into a conflict or we're going to fight this war and not lose anything.
You're saying remains to be seen, but I'm telling you that's what they said on the show. That's why I said I'm doing the air quotes to tell you this is not my wording. It's literally what they said in the show.
I know that's what they said, but I'm getting suspected that there's more stake, at least for the Empire, than it. Otherwise they would have just signed a peace treaty, build up their forces, and then just rampant through the entire, alliance if they have the higher resources to have.
I feel like your argument is that the narrator is not impartial.
Not reliable.
Could turn out to be a person.
Could be.
All right. My next note here is I want you to pretend that we're in the middle of an emergency scenario, right? Right? You're in the headspace? Yeah. You've got to hail a ship specifically, and we know that there's hundreds of thousands of ships out there. So you have to hail this ship. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to give your emergency transmission to that ship. Go.
Help.
You're dead. You had that. You had to get that. No, I said you had to get that one specific ship out of all these thousands of ships. You didn't say the name. By the way, that is the 9th Fleet's flagship. That's their name. So if you had to contact the 9th Fleet, good luck. For everyone else out there, my best guess is Toluhik Sakalpentetchuli. which I also would not have been able to say within 5 seconds.
I think. It is a
Bad name
a
for a ship
Maya.
is what I would say.
It's a Mayan Aztec. Yeah, so no. Not a language I'm familiar with.
Once again, it's the 9th Fleet's flagship.
An interesting name.
No, it's just bad. It's a bad idea. I understand, like, we're going to use the languages of everybody. We're going to be omnicultural about this. But, don't take an Aztec name, don't pick an Hawaiian name. Just don't do it. It's gonna fuck somebody up. Well, I mean, the more complicated Hawaiian names, the shorter ones are fine, but the ones that are like 25 consonants. Also, don't pick, what is the longest town name in existence?
In Welsh.
Yeah, don't pick Welsh names either. Unless your crew on the communications terminals are Welsh, Hawaiian, and Aztec, maybe just don't do it. Next one here is, so far the Muckenberger bloodline seems to be cursed.
Yeah. It might well be that arrogance or ego goeth before the fall, basically. So, they were so enthusiastic about, well, getting a victory that they cursed themselves.
Well, all of them are dead at the moment, except for a mother and a son who we saw in the locket. So we see Petty Officer Bukak having to explain that he ran out of ammo a fight ago, reinforcing to us again that supply matters in a long-term engagement. The show really loves to hammer home the importance of supply lines.
I mean, literally, the battle takes nearly over a week or more because both sides have to retreat.
6 days, I think.
6 days, so nearly a week.
Because it's what, December 4th, December 10th? Or is it October 4th? Either way, it's a 4 to a 10.
Yeah, and one of the things they say is like, oh, they pull back, rearm, and then come back again because not everything is lasers, unless the lasers run out of gas.
Well, they're doing that as
something.
a matter of tactic, not as a matter of need. They keep saying that they're not having any luck in this fight because what keeps happening is they push forwards and then they pull back. So, that's all they said. It's not for any good reason other than the fact that they keep overextending, I guess. Also, they called the Imperial Gambit to attack them from behind stupid. The narrator does. The Imperials realized the idiocy, I think they called it idiocy, in fact, of their attacking them from behind strategy. And then that's when we get the episode where they have the conference. We're like, what are you doing? Why did we all get pulled back? We were just about to launch on the strike that we'd planned from the very beginning. So far, the biggest lead we have is that someone may have leaked to the location of the Hard Luck, Ashby's flagship, to the Imperial fleet, as it was when the fleet was already retreating and the flagship was out of formation that it took the hit that killed Ashby.
A gambit within a gambit, even though the person that really wanted to kill him was already dead. And the other Imperial admirals didn't seem to be big on it. It's like, well, we just want to defeat this force, but we don't particularly want to kill Ashley. Yeah.
There's still the element of I'm not entirely certain he's not an Imperial plant. The last thing he says on screen with us is that, sorry to bother you. Could you please call a doctor? Otherwise you might see my evil heart. Dude's a jokester, I guess, but still it's a weird thing to say as your last words.
Yeah.
Not a note I have written here, but something I wanted to bring up. The element that Miriam's fiance is at Fezzen.
Intelligence, Federal Intelligence Service,
I mean,
covert secret agents.
the only thing that you know about it at the moment is that it is where they got some of the Imperial Imperial information from. Because, when he's going down what we know about the Empire, and he gets like that screenshot of the Muckenberger's uncle, they said, well, it might not be entirely reliable, we got it from Fezzen. So we've heard Fezzen twice now. Miriam's fiance and Yang's history lookup.
Yeah.
I just think that might be something important, but I don't actually think Miriam had anything to do with anything. Except maybe possibly killing her grandpa.
Possibly.
Last episode I had said, who did Gang hurt? When Miriam said, I hope he'll continue to garner accolades without hurting other people. I think I just misread the statement. We already know that Gang was happy that he earned his hero title by saving people and not killing them. And this is what I think Miriam was saying. If she had said without hurting people rather than without hurting other people, I think it would have been more clear to me.
So I'm going to say you add words like other so that, you kind of encompass. The subtitles don't sound or read shorter or much longer than what is being said. The subtitles have to be, I'm a fast reader, but still, you kind of follow the cadence of what has been said, even if it's a language you don't understand.
Well, yeah, if you say other people, my first thought is, as it was, well, then who did he hurt? What are you implying? It reads weird to me. And you say without hurting people, it's like, oh, okay, you just mean without hurting people. So it's just a weird thing. You add a word and it changes the meaning. Job Truitt, we see at the funeral, is a congressman and member of the National Defense Committee, and they say that he is on his way to being in Congress soon enough, as a rising star that they compare to Yang.
Wasn't he also the actor?
No, they say he has like the appearance of an actor.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they said the same thing about Ashby, so I don't think he's like our famous Republican president had a monkey in a movie once.
Reagan.
I don't think he's our Reagan. Sorry, R was coming to my head, and all I could think about was Robert Redford, and it's like, that's not right. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. You have anything else you want to add before we get into this?
I don't know. I'm just curious of how going to a prison planet is going to advance the story. Whether it's going to advance the Wailing personal story, advance the mystery plot, or do both. Or neither of those things. Add maybe a third layer to what's going on. Like, oh, by the way, haven't you thought about these people? Which it could do all three, because the title of this is Spiral Labyrinth. So,
well, we already talked about the possibility of there being people from the incident, in the prison. Although one wonders why they'd be in a prisoner of war prison. I guess unless they tried to desert, maybe.
No, prisoner of war would be people you capture from the Empire.
No, again, unless they tried to desert, you're still a prisoner of war.
Yeah, so they go to prisoner of war camp.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you desert it,
from where are you going to desert?
The battlefield.
You get captured. No, you get captured. If a ship gets damaged and the ship gets captured,
that tends to be the ultimate fate of deserters. Yes, that they get captured. Otherwise, they're not deserters. They're just people with new lives.
They're not deserters. They gave up. They surrendered. Just like the guys who got captured in the first episode. They end up in a prison camp or in a slave camp or something.
I think we're talking about two different things.
Prisoner of war. You know what a prisoner of war is?
Yeah, it's a prisoner of war.
Yeah, somebody who gets captured in war. When you point a gun at somebody and they give up, he becomes a prisoner of war.
Again, I think it said we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about deserters on our side.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be in that prison. Why would they be in that prison as a prisoner of war? I never talk about why did you bring deserters into this? That's a confusing part. I'm like,
because
what?
I don't know why you're thinking so. I don't know. Maybe I've like lost all my energy, and then you've taken it up because you're taking my flippancy from me. I'm trying to figure out why there would be guys from our side in prison in the POW camp, and I'm like, well, maybe they're deserters. I don't know.
I think that you would have people in the battle who were.
We saw on the next time on that he's talking to a guy in a prison outfit, so there's obviously a prisoner there who knows about it. So either it's a spy, or I don't know. I just threw out there deserter. Maybe a deserter went here,
or he could simply be once. You know what?
Because maybe this universe doesn't have like a Rikers. Maybe we just throw all the prisoners from the war into a war camp.
Okay. I think I know what the issue here is. You're thinking that the only people who could have insight into what's going on are people on the Alliance side.
That's already not true in itself, because I already think that Ashby could be an Imperial agent or whatever. So obviously, I think Imperials could have information. It's just I already think that the implication from the next time on is that we're talking to people from our own side.
No, because it's a POW camp. So that's the thing. I don't think you're talking to people. You would get an insight.
Lessons, I think I'm going to give you the best compliment I can possibly give you and say that maybe you're still fucking wrong. Is that maybe you're too smart for the anime world. Maybe I feel like these shows are written like people like me who are just like floating above stupid. You know? We opened up a Wikipedia article and we just wrote down what we saw.
No. I think the problem is you're jumping to a conclusion that's not really supported by the show.
I didn't jump to a conclusion, Lessons. I just said, what if? And you were like, you fucking idiot. Let me explain to you how POW camps work.
Oh my God.
I don't think you watched enough Hogan's Heroes, you stubborn idiot.
I'm saying that maybe these are people who were captured on the Imperial side. He gets to talk to them to get a different perspective of what happened during the battle. Because all the stuff that we got is from the Federal side. Maybe that's it. It could be a spy, right? Somebody who got caught, right? On one or another, but that they would end up somewhere else. And I don't think deserters would fit this unless they had deserted before the battle, joined with the Imperial side somehow, didn't get or got re-educated by the Empire.
I think my point of view is more so that we're running out of funding. Mm-hmm. We're shutting down like essential programs for our civilians, that maybe we're combining prisons of different types together.
I think that would, like I said, it would be a dumb idea to close a military.
It's a concept of the world isn't the same as ours sort of situation. We've had a conversation before about hostage taking being considered a war crime, but we're watching different Gundam shows here on the channel where they have indicated that they've made allowances for hostage taking, like taking hostage of civilians during a combat scenario, regardless of the reason, because the world is darker than the real world. So there's also just the element of maybe reality is different.
I would say the following. I would say that you got to follow the rule of this. This is, even in science fiction, it's like our world unless they say otherwise. And they haven't talked about deserters yet. It could literally be the first sentence that come out of the episode. Oh, yes, by the way, there are deserters in this camp. And like, okay, there are deserters in this camp. I was wrong,
Yeah, I mean, I guess my last statement here is sometimes I am owed a bit of my own medicine, I guess. This is what I would do to you if you had said it, so I get what I give. I can't complain. So, all right. Well, and nothing else to say from me. Are you fit to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And that's when the deserters from the actually. There's also an element of this, and again, I know you didn't watch Voyager, but reminds me of the Voyager intro. Like, right up until here. Because if you, like, listen to the very start, I know there's classical music as well, but if you listen to, like, the Voyager start and, like, the first however many seconds we are into this, it's that same, like, orchestral tone to it. Because lately I haven't been able to get the Voyager thing out of my head, and I'm wondering why, and it's like, oh, it's probably this. And the fact that I had to do, 3 notes or three rewatch throughs to pick up everybody that needed to be on the board back to back. So I kind of had to hear this over and over again. Also, the element of, I believe, the first half of the Gaiden, because remember, we're like in season 2 of Gaiden to handle gang stuff, that the first half of Gaiden, I think, was mostly that other guy, which is why he's in the intro, because I'm assuming that when we get to the other half and start covering his stuff,
Wenli won't be there.
Well, no, I meant that the intro is probably going to be exactly the same. Kind of covering the same thing I said about the outro of DNT, where it would go back and forth from whoever side the episode was. That it probably starts with him, because the first season is about him. But they didn't think about doing the back and forth thing back in 1999. Even though that would have been as simple as just like reversing the tape and recording this TV screen.
Chapter 8, Spiral Labyrinth.
Welcome, Yang. This is where we keep all the deserters from the war.
Oh, there you have a map.
Screw you, commenters, for not telling us fast enough.
I mean, it's a map of the Federation, but just has a handful of planets.
Get back on the ball, commenters. Tell us what we need to know.
Oh, that guy's. Those brakes are awesome. He landed it right there. Oh,
saved a little bit of animation on that tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he was third in.
Okay. Oh, that's a good character introduction. He's tall, he's strong.
Well, to be fair, that thing could be empty for all we know. Could be 5
the fact
books
that
in there.
He just picked it up like it was nothing still. Like he wasn't bothered how full it was.
The hero of El Facil.
He wished there was, but
Back to
El Facil.
Now say Jessica? Jennifer? It's a J name, it's always throwing me. There we go, I knew it was one of the two.
This isn't.
Where's Jean at? Sorry, I'm just mentioning people's names right before the show does.
Oh.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, but the way she said it is like, oh, you're a friend.
That was a needless pause, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Or a poignant one.
Last time we saw a lap on screen, or the talking role, he had a 30-minute layover and he couldn't meet Yang. She had a weird color of green for her eyes. Oh, I thought we were gonna do the thing where he walks away and then she turns around.
Oh, they walk away and he turned around, so.
そうかな。ハイネセンでも結構条件は良かったはずだが、一向にモテなかったけどね。
Except for all those news interviews you did?
そういえば、タイの方が年上なのに、目下に対す
Second time you said that now. Remember the PR guy? He's like, oh man, that guy's older than me.
順応してしまったのかもしれない。
あれがエコニアの首都です。エコニアポリスなんぞと大層の名前がついていますが、人口は10万人とちょっと。本当は大規模な緑化が実施されて、住民もとうに100万人を超していたはずなんですがね。町の方はまた後でご案内しますよ。
それはありがたいが、そういえばタイの役目は
一応3時間補ということになっております。すなわち3時間殿をお手伝いするのが仕事ですから、どうぞご遠慮なく。
I don't know about you, but I actually would not want to stop to see like the overhead view of the city. I'd be like, just show me the city when we get
この
there.
先に捕虜収容所があります。捕虜は55,400名。
So there's half as many prisoners as there's people in the city. That's not a good ratio.
No, it seems fine. They come into town and they do shit. They seem to have like that Swedish system where you like go to the jail, go to prison on the weekends, that sort of thing.
Parole system?
No, they just. Unfortunately, I've only seen it in like news stuff, so I don't have it off the top of my head. They're just not hard up about it, and apparently it works really good. I'm saying Swedish, it's more like Northern European, and I can't remember which country.
それにしても随分待遇がいいんだね。
もともと同盟は自由な民主社会の良さを知らせるためというんで捕虜を厚遇してきたんです。最近は財政も逼迫しているんで、
Again, the budget.
前のいいこともしていられないようですが、それでも捕虜の待遇は悪くないですよ。
That's why we started taking in deserters as well.
よりマシだというのは立ちの悪い冗談ですがね。着きました。
ヤン・ウェンリー少佐です。
よろしく。私はバーナビー・コステア大佐だ。
Barnaby.
選ぶらない人だな。
That sounds like an name that came from the 80s. Hey, it's Fang. Oh, got the wrong name.
そうだ。私は若い頃第二次テアマト海戦に参加した。マーチ・ジャスパー提督の下でな。私は当時戦火学校を出たばかりの16歳で最年少の兵士だった。ジャスパー提督に声をかけられた時の感激を今も覚えている。
こんなところで第二次ティアマト海戦の生き証人に会うとは。これは偶然なのか。
I mean, we would know who would have arranged it. It's probably the guy who talked to you about coming here.
どういう人でしたか。
そうだな。まあ神様みたいなものだった。あの人は批判とか批評とかの対象になる人ではなかったな。
信仰の対象だったというところか。一般にはそうなんだろうな。
そんなことよりヤン少佐、機関に話しておくことがある。
はあ、何でしょう。
この収容所には55,400名の捕虜が収容されておる。
はい。
それに対して我が軍の兵士は3,600名しかおらん。
そのようですね。
ヤン少佐は一人で15名の捕虜を殴り倒す自信があるかね。
全くありません。
ならば捕虜たちとはうまく折り合っていくことだ。
I think that's the difference between this and Banner of the Stars then. Banner of the Stars, the facility was filled with like automated guns and whatnot. Because they had the same problem.
そうでしょうね。
そこで捕虜たちの中には自治組織がある。 自治委員会と称されるその組織の協力が得られるように努める。それがこの収容所では一番寛容だ。わかるな？
はい。
自治委員会の長はケーフェン・ヒラー大佐という人物だ。とりあえ
It
ず
sounds like Kevin Killer.
挨拶という
That's the way I read it.
ようだが、この収容所ではそれがしきたりのようなものだ。
しきたりとは所長もうまいことを言いますな。
この収容所には召喚の捕虜はいないはずだね。
その通りです。
一つ疑問に思ったんだが、この手の収容所では士官と兵士は分裂して往々にして兵士や下士官が主導権を握る場合が多いと聞いていたんだが、ここでは最高位の大佐がそのまま実権を握っているのかい？
さすがに勉強されていますな。ですがケーフェンヒラーのじいさんが捕虜の間で一目も二目も置かれているのは階級が上だからじゃありません。
じいさん？
なんせ第二次ティアマト海戦で捕虜になって以来、
Again, another one who.
We should just put everyone from Tiamat. So everyone that was from there and everyone who's investigating is from
どう
there.
しても第二次ティアマト海戦か。
何でもケーフェンヒラー大佐は帝国では男
It's almost like we're supposed trying to isolate everybody from that battle.
文官だったのが何を思ったか職を捨てて軍隊入りしたのが25歳の時だったそうです。そこでも幹部候補のエリートとして28歳で大佐にまで出世して第二次ティアマト海戦に臨んだんだそうです。まあ捕虜になったのは運が悪いとしても、その後いくらでも帰国の機会があっただろうに、この収容所に居座り続けているんですよ。何か事情があるんでしょうが、帝国の貴族様というのもあれだ。
Opportunities to be released. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, prisoner exchange, I imagine.
Yeah, but we talked about that. Whether, well, I guess they are a possibility. It would make sense.
Like, I mean, you wouldn't, you probably wouldn't exchange for a soldier, but if they had like a noble or an aristocrat,
もう一つ
Yeah.
疑問があるんだが、
your family might be willing to exchange or pay, considering what we're at in resources.
あと警備主任も専任の少佐だから。
Oh, we have basketball here.
Yeah, we transfer over to the slam dunk anime.
実はここだけの話、所長と副所長は仲が悪いんですよ。副所長はキャリア組ですから、能力から言えば所長より上でしょうが、官僚的な堅物でね。所長は現場の叩き上げですか
I
ら。
think I'd seen this part
よ
before.
くある話だね。
Didn't you send it to me by mistake one time?
No.
Yeah, because I remember seeing this.
Yeah, so I've never sent you anything by mistake.
Yeah. Or maybe because I was trying to upload something from this and see it originally back in the day. It might have come up. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be it. It's literally, we've watched 8 episodes of this in total. And the only problem I ever had was I almost sent you Mushoku Tensei episode once.
いずれにせよ、副所長や警備主任とは夕食の時に顔を合わせることになりますよ。何せ少佐殿の席は所長副所長の次ですから。こちらです。
席次まで決まっているのか。たまらんな。
You're in the military. Are you not used to, like, assignment everything?
私がケーフェンヒラー、クリストフ・フォン・ケーフェンヒラー。
With a chair spin like that, he could have just been any evil guy in, like, DC comic.
こちらこそよろしくな。エルファシルの英雄とやら。
こんなところにまで悪名が轟いているとは。
Infamy.
ここでの暮らしはどうです？
そうさな。まあ贅沢を言えば際限がないから。こんなものだろうよ。
当面何か不足しているものは？
この年になるとそれほど欲しいものもない。ただ知的好奇心というか知りたいことはいろいろある。私はこの地に住み着いて以来ずっと知りたいと思い調べてきたことがある。ジークマイスター提督の亡命事件の真相についてだ。その資料を君に頼むかもしれんな。
So I don't remember that name either.
そのジークマイスター提督という人は大佐のお知り合いだったのですか？
経緯は歴史の勉強が足りんようだ。亡命事件は60年前だぞ。私などと
You look pretty old.
直接の面識はない。
Didn't seem outside of your lifetime.
奇妙なことに提督が亡命してきたこの同盟側の資料が極端に少ないのだ。
I feel like this could be a lead if we knew how old Siegmeister was supposed to have been.
Yeah.
Well, like Siegmeister could have defected, but he was only like 19 at the time. Turns out to be our boy
は
who we're investigating.
この2つの件の真相を知ってから死にたいと思ったる。ある程度は調査も推理もしてみたが、まだまだ
More likely, though, he's like an inside man who was able to feed information back to the Empire.
私もお手伝いし
Probably.
て真相を知ることができればいいと思いますが。
本当に知りたいのかね？
はい。
Or this is going to be one of those subversion things that seems stupid in the modern age.
教えていただけるんです
Like,
か。
oh, you just assume Siegmeister was a man. It turns out to be one of our boys' ex-wives.
どうせ君などここでは暇を持て余すに決まっておる。やる気があるなら少しは調べてみたまえ。
ではそうしましょう。
いや、お見事にかわしましたな。
え、
あのケーフェンヒラーのじいさんと来たら、新任の所長や参事官が来るたび同じことを言って煙に巻いてるんですから。
するとまるっきりデタラメなのかい。
そう断言もできんでしょうが、あまりまともに取り合わん方がいいでしょう。
Yeah, but Yang, you're a historian at heart, so
何が引っかかり
Well,
ま
it's
す。
also probably that nobody else coming here was investigating literally a thing about history in that time frame.
なるほど。アッシュビー提督が謀殺されたという可能性はありそうですな。ですが、当時の
Oh, three-dimensional chess.
Right, yeah, 1999, Star Trek would still have done it first.
アッシュビー提督を謀殺するなんて、自分の首に
Unless they do this in the 1988 original version.
そう思うだろうね。ただそれは一般的な常識。
that would have been Star Trek, the original
当時
series
の
had it
権力者
first.
たちには
I
別
don't
の
think
事情
Star
もあ
Trek
っ
the
た
original series had it, though.
それにしても
Yes, Spock is at least one time playing it.
ここへの赴任が決まった段階で、その件に関する調査命令は消滅したのと違いますか？
それはそうなんだが、なんというかこの件についてそれなりの結論を出さないと宿題をやり残したような気がして。
宿題。なるほど。宿題ね。それならわかります。片付けてしまわんと落ち着きませんな。
それに3時間なんて肩書きだけで特に仕事があるわけでもない
That's
し
a。perfect job for you, who still doesn't want to do anything.
いや、少佐殿のような英才にはこんな場所で官職についていらっしゃるのは不本意でしょうな。ですが少しの辛抱ですって。
だから英才じゃない
Well,
って。
ええ。
just to throw this out there,
私は人を見る目はあるんです。
there's German thing called cube chess, which was developed back in 1851. So
そうかね。
even three-dimensional chess isn't Star Trek
別
first.
につきたくないし。
And considering that we have the whole empire thing here with sort of a Germanic Austrian
何しろ
tint
ここ
to
な
it,
ら戦死する心配もない
kind of
し。
seems like they just brought that over from the empire.
紹介しておこう。副所長のジェニングス中佐と
Yeah, he doesn't look like a villain whatsoever.
万事彼らの指導を仰ぐように。
ヤン・ウェンリーです。よろしく。
Yeah.
That went well.
半年間よろしく。半年で済まないときは改めて挨拶するから。どうぞ。
チャン・タオ一等兵であります。少佐殿の重卒を務めさせていただきます。
よろしく。
At least it's a room more to the size that he was wanting. Remember, he indicated like his house from Lieutenant Commander rank was a bit too big for him.
せずに済みましたんです。はい。
一つだけ頼んでおきたいんだが。
何でしょ
う。できればもう少し散らかしておいてほしいんだ。その方がなんというか私は気分が落ち着くので。変かな。
変ですな。ですがそういう上官は以前にもいらっしゃいました。バロン・ウォーリス・ウォーリック提督もそういう方でしたよ。
Everybody fucking come to this prison?
Yeah.
光栄でした。
おやおや、 また730年マフィアか。
He's pointing out every time it goes like everybody hits
名
here.
称だったそうだね。
It might be an element of the
はい
of all the
さようでございました
if all the prisoners
そ
of
れ
war
は
from
もう
that battle
あの
are
方は
here,
名将という公
then
職に
these people
ふ
are
さわし
like
い方でして
missing the old
人間
days
として
just
も
come to
立派
talk
で私のようなも
with
の
the
にも
prisoners.
親切にしてくださいました
No, but it's a military. They wouldn't get a sign here unless they really,
Well, no,
really
remember a lot
lobby
of
to be
these people.
transferred.
Well, a lot of these people went to fleet admiral, or I'm sorry, oh god, they went to high-ranking, non-position related positions
晩年は不遇だったね。
or non-military related positions where they could have given themselves leave to come here. I mean, that could be the connection. Before everyone died, they got into like similar roles. So maybe they came here, talked, and that's when they got
男爵
killed.
は人を見る目がなかったってことかな。
コーヒーをお入れしましょうか
ありがとう。でもコーヒーでなくて紅茶。
Because if I'm right, something's gonna happen to Yang here before he gets away, or after he gets away.
I'm about to kill him.
Could be why that ex-wife died to a drug overdose if the dude talked to her before he got out.
例えばバロン・ウォーリック。
I am going to be severely disappointed, by the way, if there isn't some sort of massive conspiracy and it all turns out to be, oh, no, he just got killed on the battlefield. Because we are going deep into a lot of connective tissue.
アシュビーを亡き者にした後、同盟の守りは彼らに委ねればいいと。実際彼らがその後の同盟軍の中核を成したわけだが、アシュビーのような鮮やかな勝利を収めることはなかった。第二次ティアマト海戦で帝国軍が弱体化したことに助けられて、その後の侵略を許さなかっただけと意地の悪い見方もできる。だがそれでも彼らの存在が謀殺を企んだ者たちの心理的な拠り所となっていた可能性はある。
It's only 9:15.
うるさいな。
How long have you been going to sleep?
睡眠の邪魔をす
So
る
you're
やつは
already in
叩かれ
REM.
るぞ。もしもし、こちら葬儀屋。
ヤン少佐、すぐに中央管制室にいらしてください。
3:15.
傾向なさった方がよろしいかと。
Okay. It looked like a 9 when it was
脱走
further
事件で
out.
も起きたのかい？
よくお分かりですな。
子供の頃から想像力過剰だと言われていたんだ。
それでも少佐が想像しておられない事態もあります。
所長が人質になったとか？
惜しい、副所長です。
すぐ行く。必ずしも私の好みじゃないが、第一夜から新参者を退屈させないよう。
Okay, so maybe it was like a dress uniform back at the funeral.
他人事のように考えたのは
You're pointing out that he was the only one not wearing
俺たちの恨みを
the uniform, and it just looks like it's a suit underneath the uniform. So maybe he's wearing a specific coat, like a dress
No,
up.
because what his commander was also not wearing a uniform. He was wearing a suit.
Yeah. Well, you were pointing
But not
out that
that
a lot of other people were wearing uniforms. But then
Yeah.
again, we also know that the entire academy was brought out here, so the academy could have been there wearing their outfits.
Yeah, the cadet uniform.
It's just the element of him putting on his outfit, and it just looks like a business suit underneath, just without the jacket. So he could have just been wearing anything, but still wearing his normal attire.
Yeah, but they were wearing all black, so
At a funeral? Yeah, who would have
Yeah.
guessed?
I know, but again, would have been a matching undershirt. Would have been matching to the outside.
To be
If it's
fair,
just a
Attenborough
jacket.
came to the funeral wearing green, so... I don't know. I don't know where we're going anymore. Like, I still have, like,
in a
maybe...
spiral, clearly.
No, I mean, I still have, like, 4 guesses about what's going on, but... I have no idea which one of them could be right, and if none of them are, then I've just been not following. Look, man, I have a whole timescape thing written down about who died and when. What do I got here? John Drinker dies in the Battle of Palencia in 751 UC. Wallace Warwick dies of a heart attack in 766 UC. By the way, Yang is born 2 years later. Frederick Jasper dies with his wife in a spaceship accident in 771 UC. Fang Chuling dies of a lung embolism in 773. Sorry, 773 UC. I'm keeping track of all this shit. It's just not putting it together.
勃発した捕虜反乱事件の中、人質の身代わりになるヤンとパトリチェフ。だが、それはこの騒動のシナリオを書いた何者かの筋書き通りの展開だった。生命の危機にさらされたヤンの取るべき道とは。次回銀河英雄伝説外伝スパイラルラビリンス第9話。捕虜と
I do that every episode, I feel like.
人は歴史を作り出し、人は歴史を語り継ぐ。
I just think, like, a couple episodes back, the narrator goes, or finishes the thing with, or, and then that's it. It's like, okay. Yang is gonna do a thing, which is next time on Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Again, my theory is either Miriam is up to something, and I feel like this is the lesser one because of our connection to whatever that intelligence thing is. There is the spy plant, whatever it is. Sorry, I just see you laughing at something.
Sorry about that. What I mean, the spies.
Oh, I thought you were going to reveal something. You're just laughing. I don't know what's going on.
No, sorry about that.
Completely unrelated. Okay.
Yeah, never mind.
All right. Go ahead.
I mean, it's interesting that when Yang arrives, this happens, right? And then the next one, and the next on, they tell us, oh, exactly how the people who planned this planned it. Like,
to the
that's
irony,
particularly weird.
To the irony of the show that's going super slowly, I feel like this was too fast.
Yeah.
Because normally we need a setup. Like, they're showing us how idyllic this is, that the prisoners are living the best life they could possibly live. We're providing for them in the best way. They've got representation, etc.
Yeah.
Oh, suddenly it's a riot. Or, suddenly they're taking prisoners. And it's like, I feel like you needed to set something up. Like, at least expose us to prisoners that aren't, like, happy with their situation. Obviously, someone's going to be out there like, of course they're prisoners. They're not going to be happy with their situation. Show us. You're doing your best job to show us how unhappy, unless this is the showing us part.
The finding out part.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Unless this is showing us that we're getting the people that are unhappy via the hostage taking.
Yeah. But okay, they take hostages. I guess they can demand a shuttle out of the planet.
I mean, that seems like the normal thing to do.
But
or
then they
just
could
keep them. You keep hostages forever, I guess. I mean,
well, unless what they want is to go back to the Imperium with, a hero, right? A hero figure,
or just send messages. I want an open line communication to But then, like, that would be like a why now thing, right? If y'all are prisoners of a battle that was, God, I've already forgotten, even though I just went over dates. What is the current date? 789. The battle was 745, so 44 years ago? 54 years ago? 34 years ago.
The only thing I can imagine is that if he wants to go back to the Empire and wants a prisoner that shows, because he talked about a defection before, right? So if he could deliver a high value target, he could be welcomed back with open arms. Otherwise, he escapes, and the Empire's going to go, oh, you spent how many years as a prisoner, and now you escape? Yeah, we don't trust you. Re-education camp with you. Like,
I'm pretty sure the defection thing has to be an element. I mean, okay, so the battle took place 34 years ago. Do I have listed when Ashby was born? I don't think I do. No, I do, actually. Bruce Ashby was born in 710. which would be about 30 years. Wait, no, hold on, I got the math wrong here. When is the battle? About 35 years before the Battle of Tiamat. Second Battle of Tiamat, I should be specific.
But the defection happened 44 years ago.
The defection happened 60 years ago.
60 years ago, so
720 something.
Yeah,
35 so 729.
25 years in difference.
Yeah, I got nothing.
25 years.
I got nothing between that date. I got 710 was when all the 730 Mafia were born in the same year. I remember I brought that up as being a little bit weird. And then it's 32 years after that is the next date of something happening, which is the Battle of Dragonia, which Bruce Ashby was present for. I don't know. 60 years ago would be you could meet him when he was 10, but that wouldn't do anything for me. But it still means that dude might have still been around to influence Bruce Ashby.
I don't know.
Because there's an element there that I don't think that dude would be alive for the second Battle of Tiamat.
No.
60 years ago, he defected, so 720, and then 25 years. Well, he could have been. People could live to 85. That's not impossible. But to be 85 and still be in a position to do something.
Teach him about Imperial tactics, perhaps?
Well, I was talking more like a spy thing, like somebody who can still slip information from one side to the other. The fact that they're all born on the same date still throws me.
No, same year.
Yeah. Same year, though, yeah. The fact that they're all born in the same year and entered school at the same year, graduated the same year.
They're all twins from another other mother.
Well, no, it's just the element that what might be a lie, right? What records have been futzed with. 60 years ago. 720.
I don't know. 10 was the best. There might be a connection, but I don't think we have enough information to make it.
That's the problem. I think that's the problem. Is I think we should. That maybe we do, and we're just not putting it together, or things that are being said, we're just not picking up as important.
I mean, if he defected, he
also means that depending on how old he is, he might have been around during the start of the war.
He might have defected and be connected to the intelligence service.
Pheasant?
Mm-hmm. Probably the people who organized the defection. Spies and all that.
Depends. We don't know how he defected.
Yeah. And we don't know also what he did. What he did once he defected. Was he, did he got debriefed and then became a private citizen in the alliance, or that he continued behind the scenes giving information?
Well, the element of we don't know what he did once he defected is kind of the entire basis of the whole discussion. Like, what could he have possibly done? I mean, unless he's not important at all. The problem here is that I don't know if this show is present enough to do red herrings. Like, if they're feeding us a bunch of information that's nonsense, it doesn't matter to anything. Like John Drinker Cope dies in the Battle of Palencia, a battle we've never heard of before. Is that important? Is Wallace Warwick dying of a heart attack important?
Yeah.
The Frederick Jasper dies with his wife in a spaceship accident. It's like, okay, that could be a sign. Like, the heart attack could be, like, drug-induced, just like the other person's wife died of drug overdose. There's a bunch of shit here. It's like, okay, if we're supposed to be putting ourselves into Yang's shoes and trying to figure out ahead of it...
Whoa. You have 3 people, at least, who have died of drug overdoses. Rosas
2?
3, because remember, sleeping pills are drugs.
Yeah, no, I'm already counting that. It's Rosas.
Rosas, Ashley's second wife, to divorce them, right?
I don't think she died of a drug overdose.
So who was the one who died?
I think it was Baron's wife died of a drug overdose.
Okay.
And then he dies of a heart attack.
Could be that he didn't take his right pills.
We don't get any information on that. Again, this is the element of given the information that we're given.
So at least 3 people.
I mean, then you'd say that Fang's lung embolism might have been drug related. At this point, where would you draw the line? Like I said, the same thing with the spaceship accident. There's a bunch of shit that you would say is foul play, but we don't get that information. I was about to say maybe there's an element that if we connect these people, because we get told what they do after the battle, maybe the people that did take high position, because there's a bunch of them that take the same position, but not all of them take the same position. Like 2 of them take like the National Defense Committee thing. 2 of them, or 2 or 3 of them, become Joint Chiefs of Staff members. But the 2 that are National Defense Committees don't become Joint Chiefs. It's like a game of Guess Who, where there's a bunch of qualities that we can assign to these people about what they did after. And it's possible that we could then take that and then align that with how they died. Like, okay, everybody that joined the National Defense Committee also died of bodily stuff, like, heart attack, lung embolism, or everyone that became the Joint Chiefs of Staff died in space, spaceship accident, in the Battle of Plataea, whatever. There could be connective tissue here, or it could even be worse than that, when you're playing Guess Who. Okay, does my guy have glasses? Right? Sort of that. Everybody that we saw walking out of the main building in a shot, which is like 2 or 3 of them, connective tissues. If we're supposed to be looking that in depth at it, I'm never going to figure this out. I mean, I probably could if I followed the clues that I literally just laid out and went back to episode 7, which I think is where all that's said. It might be possible, but we haven't. I guess then you would have to follow that to who had last contact with Rosas. Because if you assume that Rosas gets murdered by the drug overdose, that then anybody else who had the drug overdose thing might be connected. Because they may have found out something that whoever killed him killed them. So then we would have to figure out everybody who died of what we assume to be a drug overdose, maybe. And the thing of not knowing what's a red herring and what's not, right? Is that guy's wife dying of a drug overdose related? Or is she just a druggie? Is she a red herring? Or is she supposed to be the first person you put down? And then find out, okay, he came here. Or backwards figure this out. Every name that we just heard has gone to the prison. We find out how they died. Do you remember who they were?
No. Okay. Good names,
We find out how those people died. We try to make the connection between those deaths. I think one was Fang, right?
Yeah.
Fang, Wallace. There was a third person. It's our guy,
Jasper?
Sal? Is it Sal that said it?
I think Jasper.
If it's Jasper, then he's the one that's breaking the line here. Because if it was Wallace and Fang, lung embolism and heart attack. But you're saying Jasper, that's spaceship accident. So, I guess technically you could, create a spaceship accident, but it doesn't follow along with the drug thing.
I'm an opportunity.
Yeah, but I'm trying to derive motive. If we can't figure out the motive, then we can't really figure out what's happening. Because otherwise we're just killing people at random. And why are you killing people, right? If you're trying to hide information, which could solve the entire case of what's going on, then just knowing who he's killing doesn't really figure it out for us. So that's what I wish I had a hidden ketchup packet around here. I just blood down my nose. Get a crazed look in my eye. Just all right. Well, I mean, unless you're not throwing out any detective clues at me here, so I can't really.
No, I'm not gonna even try. Nope. No, not doing that.
Well, I mean, I think that's what's got to happen here if we want to figure this out before the show tells us. I mean, unless you're not playing that game.
Well, I think, again, if we haven't got clues and I don't understand them, then I need more clues to unlock the clues that I got but I didn't get. You got me?
No, I mean, I understand you, but I mean, I think the thing is, I may be thinking too highly of the show, which might be the thing. I might be thinking that, okay, maybe they're giving us the clues, but they're so in-depth that it's like trying to figure out like a Sherlock Holmes novel before we get to the end, where Sherlock is like, oh, you remember the thing in the first chapter where he had like this certain type of mud on his boot? And then we talked about how the dog had like bad breath because it's actually because the dog has been eating this kind of it's all the clues are there, but they all seem completely unconnected until we get to the end and we realize, oh, this thing led to this thing, which ties into this thing. And I'm trying to think, is the show like this? That maybe these things are interconnected and we are just like treating them as the boring background shit between when we get told information.
I mean, I'm also holding to the fact that maybe the real mystery is there is no mystery.
I told you already, I fucking hate that, so I'm like trying to actively avoid that being the case.
That the mystery is why would anybody want people to believe that he was killed instead of dying in battle?
That
right?
would be the No, it wouldn't be the stupidest. It would just be the worst case for me as the viewer to find out that the Muckenberg revenge plan was just to drive everyone crazy. What if we keep telling them he was murdered so that they'll start doubting the big hero that we failed to kill but actually did kill, kind of, and that our family revenge against this guy is going to be having the internal command of the Free Planets Alliance just circling around investigating itself constantly.
I mean, that actually would not be a bad thing to do if you want to create self-doubt in your enemies.
In world, sure. If we were playing like an RPG game, perfect. For a show, not so much. If you have 14 episodes of this, there's gonna have to be payoff. If it turns out, no, Bruce Ashby was a fine-ass guy, he did a great job, and then had a falling out with his friends. Thank God the next arc is only going to be 4 episodes. That's all I would say to that.
We'll see what happens.
I would tear my teeth out. I don't know where I would go from that. You'd see her with a pair of pliers and it'd start going hot and blood just coming out. I don't think you could record this. I'm out.
I wouldn't put it past it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we all got to go sometime. Sometimes Pinhead is real. Anyway, I guess the only way to answer any of these questions is to watch more episodes. So, Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?